Surrender is not a white flag, giving up or giving in. Surrender is giving over to the infinite within. Surrender is not a prison, there are no borders where I live. Surrender is a freedom only letting go can give. Oh, whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, I'm letting go. Oh, I put a little rock into my roll. I'm letting go. Oh, 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 the seeds of love will grow. I'm letting go. So I can sing my song, I'm letting go. Oh, cause I gotta let go to hold on. I'm not Pollyanna, I'm in the trenches of the road, and I'm not living blindly. I said I've got my eyes open and I'm letting go. Oh, oh, whoa, oh, whoa, oh, 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 whoa, oh, I'm letting go. Oh, I put a little rock into my roll. I'm letting go. Oh, 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 the seeds of love will grow. I'm letting go. Oh, oh, so I sing my song, I'm letting go. Oh, cause I gotta let go to hold on. I'm not a pretender, but I'm a contender to be in surrender today. Don't be a defender of doubt, but remember that you are the light of your way. I'm not a pretender, but I'm a contender to be in surrender today. Don't be a defender of doubt, but remember that you are the light of your way. I'm letting go. Oh, I put a little soul into my bowl. I'm letting go. Oh, 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 cause I know those seeds of love are gonna grow. I'm letting go. Oh, 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 so I can sing my song. I'm letting go. Oh, cause I gotta let go to, gotta let go to, I've got to let go to hold on. Ooh, ooh. Let go, hold on, let go, hold on, let go. Hold on, let go, hold on, let go, hold on, let go. Hold on, let go, hold on, let go, hold on, let go. Hold on. Scrapes, burns, twists and turns, you might call me damaged. Nicks, cuts, dips and ruts, I've been bruised and bandaged. Every dark night leads to a new morning light, and all of my scars have turned me into a piece of art. Each fear, every loss and tear, all the hard goodbyes, lows, hits, all the dirt, all the grit, all of it has made me wise. Every dark night leads to a new morning light, and all of my sorrow gives me hope for a better tomorrow. It's when I'm falling, I feel so high, and when I'm crawling, that I wanna reach out for the sky. And when I'm lonely, I can hold on to the truth. That is when I'm broken open. That's when the light comes Ins, outs, screams and shouts. Life is complicated. This is my wild ride. Hell no, I wouldn't trade it. But every love that's gone leads me to another love song, and all of my sorrow gives me hope for a better tomorrow. It's when I'm falling, I feel so high, and when I'm crawling,
more room for love, shakes you from the inside to remind you you're alive. There's always that part that wants to close up and die, but my heart heals with thick rope-like scars I use to pull me up to the clearing where I can see the stars. The next opportunity to try extra hard to embrace the dark and love with my ever-expanding heart. Love with my ever-expanding, my ever-expanding heart. Love with my ever-expanding heart.
events to be part of this conversation. I'll stop touching the mic, sorry. Now, I would like to welcome Lynn to the stage. Oh, I'm sorry. Now I'd like to welcome Lynn and Jenn to the stage for an opening song.
Okay, I hope you'll sing along with us. This is a beautiful song, All Is Well by Sue Riley and Glenn Rothel. We come together to celebrate life, shine like stars in a brilliant night sky, here for each other in joy and in pain. Grateful for this family, our beloved community. The love we share is sunshine after rain. All is well when we're together, greater, stronger. All is well. All is well when we're together, greater, stronger. All is well. When we're together, it feels like home. Kindred spirits, we're never alone. Let's join hands and sing out a song. Music is the food of love. At this table, there's more than enough. At this moment, take a breath and sing along. All is well when we're together, greater, stronger. All is well. All is well when we're together, greater, stronger. All is well. We come together to celebrate life, shine like stars in a brilliant night sky, here for each other in joy and in pain. Grateful for this family, our beloved community. The love we share is sunshine after rain. All is well when we're together, greater, stronger. All is well. All is well when we're together, greater, stronger. All is well. All is well. All is well.
Good morning. I'm Jenn, one of the practitioners here. So welcome. Happy Earth Day. It was yesterday. Happy spring, and just feeling the energy of life as it is showing up so beautifully out in nature and everywhere. So if you'll join me in saying our vision. We are celebrating spirit within and knowing the oneness of humanity. I have a reading today that comes from the book Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. Connection is the energy that exists between people when they feel seen, heard, and valued. When they can give and receive without judgment. When they derive sustenance and strength from their relationships. And a quote from Ernest Holmes on love. Love is within us. It cannot be destroyed. However, it can be ignored. And if we abandon love, we will feel it has abandoned us. Denying love is our only problem. Embracing it is the only answer. Through the power of love, we can let go of past history and begin again. Love heals, forgives, and makes us whole.
Okay, I'm going to share a song that it's an original song, and it's about things that keep us from moving forward in our lives. It's called Lost and Found. You come and sit beside me. You've been here before. I know you seal away my dreams. Do I open that door? You've had a strong, strong hold on me, and silence starts to rule. I've traveled so many miles this way. Is this a road of a fool? How do I get free? Just take a look in the mirror and take a dive so deep and see what you left behind. Of all the pieces that brought you here, only one of them is your fear. Pack up the rest and don't forget. Remember, you are free. Knock comes again, feeling lost, not found. I hear, remember your reflection, sink your feet to the ground. Only you have the key to that shallow door. You're at the next mile and it's nothing like the road before. How do I get free? Just take a look in the mirror and take a dive so deep and see what you left behind. Of all the pieces that brought you here, only one of them is your fear. Pack up the rest and don't forget. Remember, you are free. You are free.
That was lovely. Thank you, Lynn. So I've learned a lot of things in my life, but the thing that I've learned most this week is that one should not do a high-intensity interval training workout the day before you're having to stand up in front of folks. So if you see me leaning, it's because I'm very sore. Anywho, well, welcome. It's so I'm so glad to be here, and Chris sends her love. And so today we are going to explore, we're talking about vulnerability again, right? It's been a hard month, isn't it? Vulnerability sometimes is not an easy thing to talk about, but it's really integral to connection and belonging and creating communities that do that. And so today we're going to explore how vulnerability is the building block for a thriving and for a healthy community, right? And so when we see to the extent that we're able to nurture vulnerability in ourselves, then we can really see that outpictured in our communities and our relationships. And so we're going to explore how authenticity and connection and belonging are possible when we bring our whole self to life, and we bring our whole self to our relationships, and we bring our whole self to our communities and our groups and the things that we're a part of. And it's in doing that, when we bring our whole selves, and we're all bringing our whole selves, then we can really begin to create spaces like this that are just the breeding ground for connection and belonging. And so the power of vulnerability really begins to be actualized right here in 3D with us here. And so Science of Mind teaches the universal principle of oneness. Now, oneness does not mean sameness, right? Instead, it is understanding that the manifest world is the individualized expression of that one thing. And so we're all part of this manifest world. So we're all expressing this individualized expression at the same time. And so when we can begin to fully grasp that we are this individualized expression of this one, when we can kind of let that sink into ourselves, then we can begin to see that in other people. And sometimes that's the hard part, right? It's hard to do that. And so to do this, it takes seeing and being seen. And so that's our topic for today, seeing and being seen. So what does this look like? We're going to break it down and what it looks like to see and to be seen. First, we have to be vulnerable enough to see ourselves. And I'm going to be honest, this is the hard part, right? I can really see a lot of folks and see what everyone else needs to be doing, right? But to take a look at myself and to look within myself and take responsibility for how I show up, that takes vulnerability. For you to ask yourself, what is it that I need to be looking at in my own life so that I can show up more vulnerable, or so that I can create spaces where vulnerability can grow? That takes a lot of vulnerability to ask that question. And so in fostering communities where vulnerability and authenticity is nurtured, it is really important to take on this role of self-reflection and responsibility. Now, this may look like saying, and I've said it, and I'm sure you've said it too, like I really messed up. I'm sorry, I really messed up, or I'm sorry, I should have listened, or I should have communicated differently, right? It takes vulnerability to look at that within ourselves and see those aspects where we may have showed up where we maybe not our 100%, or we would like to kind of rewind that experience and show up differently. And so this level of vulnerability requires us to be willing to see life from a wide variety of angles and perspectives, and to really see how our thoughts and our words and our actions directly impact others, right? It's not just our own. We're not kind of living in a bubble. We don't live in a vacuum. We don't create in a vacuum. We don't interact in a vacuum. But how our thoughts and our actions impact those around us. So what old, sometimes it's maybe asking the question, what old limiting beliefs or ideas or frameworks or biases do I have within me that are impacting my ability to show up vulnerably, or impacting the ability of others to show up vulnerably, right? Especially in communities where we're all kind of, our rough edges are kind of rubbing up against everyone else's rough edges. How can I begin to be vulnerable with how I'm showing up, and how that may impact other people's vulnerability and their ability to be their best selves in my presence, And I think that's the question that we ask in communities like this. How can we show up? We don't have to be on our Sunday best or anything like that, but how can we show up in ways so authentically that we're inviting other people to do the same? And so this really does kind of require this vulnerability to look within our own selves. It's like, what is mine to do? What is mine to do in creating this space? What is mine to do in allowing my authentic self to show and inviting others to do the same? And so when we're then called to this expanded awareness of connection with the whole, and by perspective taking and its personal reflection, we're able to kind of bolster this sense of connection and belonging in our communities. And this may take really practicing seeing the perspective of others. It's really easy to come at problems or come at interactions or relationships from our own perspective, right? That's easy. That doesn't take anything because we're living in our own perspective. But to be willing to meet those situations and begin to explore the perspective of others, kind of get out of our own little bubble. I like the bubble. It's very comfortable, right? But to get out of our own little bubble, and that may be some easy ways to do that are reading authors that have different life experiences than you have, watching TV shows that have different representations on them, just getting an idea of how other individuals may operate. And we've all come to different conclusions about life, right? And it's based on our own experiences. And so the more that we can lean in, not only to our own experiences, the more that we can lean into other people's experiences as well. Now we talked about being seen and seeing ourselves. Now we're going to talk about seeing others. Now this is the challenge or the fun. It can go either way, right? Ernest Holmes said in The Ideas of Living that we see each other as the reflection or the manifestation of the everlasting life, and each is an individualized embodiment of it. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is already in us. We are it. It is only as we are in harmony with it that we awake to it. So when we talk about seeing others as they are, this is tricky because I don't know about you, but I oftentimes see other people the way I want them to be. Am I the only one? Okay. But there's a few head nods. Okay. I'm not the only one. Or head shakes. Okay. Okay, good. Man, don't we do that? Like, oh, I see you, but I see what you could be. And I see the potential in you, and I see all this. Instead of seeing people for what they are, we really want them to kind of fit into a box. Not always, but it is the instinct to do that, especially when people aren't showing up the way we want them to. And that happens sometimes, right? And so instead, we have to practice this present moment seeing, to see people as they are in the present moment without any desire to change or judgment or comparison or I wish you were like, or if you would only be, those sorts of frameworks, to really see people as they are. Now, doing that doesn't mean that sometimes we have to create space between how people are and our own sense of boundaries, and that's okay. This is not to say that we live this boundaryless life, but to really just see everyone as they are in their own path, their own journey, right? And so, when seeing people in this way, it's not a lens of judgment or, like I said, comparison, but it's this gentle gaze of awareness. Just like us, each person is a unique, individualized expression of the one. And so in Science of Mind, we talk about oneness, and we just kind of mentioned what that means. And so that means that we're all unique expressions. We're all doing the best we can, right? In any given moment, we are doing the best we can with the information that we have. Sometimes it may not look like that on the out picturing, but we are in any given moment. We're in this process together. And so if you can think of a time where you have felt truly seen, just take a second to kind of bring that, where you felt truly seen, you felt the other person or the group just really saw you for who you were. And we recognize what that feels like, right? That feeling of just openness and vulnerability and being seen for who we are. And it's like amazing, and we want to have that everywhere. And just imagine the impact that we could have in our communities when we could actually create that space on the regular, right? It's not the exception, but it is like the norm. It's the norm of this place to see people in this way. And it's amazing the reaction that outpictures when we do that. Before my this aspect of ministry, I was a psychotherapist. And so I worked with individuals in assisted livings, long-term care facilities, and I did therapy. And some of these individuals had never had mental health interventions or anything like that. And also they had never been seen, right? They had lived their whole life in expectations of parents or jobs or, you know the drill. We all live in that, right? But I had the opportunity just to see them for who they are, 1 hour a week, just to sit there and say, I see you. You don't have to be any way. We can just sit here and talk about whatever you want to talk about. I have no expectation. I have no judgment. Just to see you and allow you to express what you want to express in the moment. And for some, that's the first time they had ever had that experience. And it was amazing the transformation that happened when folks felt like they could be seen. And so this works, folks. This is not like a theory. This actually works when we can see people for who they are. It is a transformative experience. And so the result is creating communities and spaces and relationships and interactions and places where people can show up and be who they are, and you know what that feels like. And we want everyone to have that opportunity. And so that is the beauty of communities like this. That is the beauty of a teaching that we're involved in, to be able to create those spaces. And so we're also called to recognize that vulnerability is challenging. Relationships are challenging. Communities are challenging, right? It's just the nature of who we are. We're learning, we're interacting, we're maybe interacting in ways that we never did before. And so it can be challenging. And so also part of vulnerability is not ignoring that, right? We don't want to pretend. We don't want to pretend that everyone gets along, or we don't want to pretend that it's this way or that way, but just really being able to interact in a way that's vulnerable and look at the things that maybe need changing, or look at the things in my own life that may need shifting and moving and in the ways that I show up. And that can be uncomfortable. But as Reverend Chris has said before, comfort is not the goal. I'm sorry to tell you. I know it's disappointing. But it isn't, right? It isn't. Just think about any time that you've experienced a growth, or you have learned a new skill, or you have done something new. It wasn't just boom and you're perfect at it, right? It was this practice. It was this work. It was this growth. It was this falling down, metaphorically or in real life. It was all those things. It can be uncomfortable until we kind of get to that space. And so that's what this is. This vulnerability is not a light switch. We don't turn it on and turn it off, right? It is this layered kind of growth and building with one another. I get all excited talking about vulnerability. Who would have thought? And so when we can see people as they are, not how we want them to be, we can create a space of acceptance, of honoring, of respect that invites everyone into this space, right? And so the third and final aspect of this scene, so we've saw ourselves, we're seeing others, and now seeing the space in between. The space in between me and the space in between you. And so the interesting thing about vulnerability, it's kind of catchy. Just like authenticity, it's also contagious. When I can show up authentically, it invites you to do the same thing. Because there's some sort of energetic thing when you witness someone's authenticity, when you witness the vulnerability of sharing of hopes and dreams and challenges and things like that. It's this energetic pool that you're like, this is a space. We're having a moment here. And maybe I can do the same thing too. And that's the connection. That's that space between. And in this exchange, we find this kind of beautiful way of creating communities, right? Because I can show up, and then maybe you decide to put a little toe of showing up vulnerably this week. And then next week, more and more and more. And then we begin to really create these communities and these spaces that aren't static, but they're alive. The more we learn about ourselves and the more that we see others from this present moment awareness, the more that we create this really vital sort of experience of community. And that's where vulnerability likes to hang out, in that space. And so it invites us to listen to one another. Not that kind of listening where, okay, I'm listening to you and I'm waiting for you to stop so then I can tell you my idea. Or I'm listening to you, I'm waiting for you to stop so I can tell you what you said wrong, right? Or I can, not that type of listening, but really listening to one another and practicing that. That takes vulnerability as well. And so, this is not achieved just by me talking about it or just by us talking about it, right? But it is through intentional action. It's not enough to say we want communities that are vulnerable and authentic, right? We could say that all the time. But to actually live it, put that in action, we have to be it. We have to live it. We have to live it in our own lives. And then the outpouring of that comes into our communities and the spaces where we rub up against each other, right? And so this is not to say that we're always going to get it right. We're not. I'm just going to tell you, we're not going to get it right. There are going to be some I'm sorry's. There are going to be I made a mistake. There are going to be I should have listened. There are going to be all those sorts of experience, and that's okay. That's a part of growing. And so vulnerability creates the space for us to try, miss the mark, regroup, and try again. It invites us to listen, not to fix, but just to listen and to see folks. And so when we're able to show up in this way, we can really actualize what vulnerability is. We can actualize what can happen when communities are based on this idea of authenticity and vulnerability. Janet Mock, who is an American writer and television host and transgender advocate, states that, I believe that telling our stories, first to ourselves, and then to one another, and then to the world, is a revolutionary act. And I would say being vulnerable and creating spaces for others to be vulnerable is our revolutionary act. As spiritual communities that gather on Sundays or Wednesdays or all the days in between, if we want to continue to be relevant, if we want to continue to be engaged with others outside of these walls, we must be part of that revolution. We must be part of creating these spaces where anyone can drop in and find a space where they can explore what it looks like to be vulnerable and authentic. And so as you can tell, vulnerability is not this one-dimensional thing. It's not we do this step and then we're done. But it requires this internal awareness of who we are and then external practice of that awareness. So we can't just keep it hidden, but this external practice, this outward focusing practice of this. And just like any new concept or activity, it takes practice. And sometimes more practice, and then sometimes a lot more practice, depending on where you start from. But we're called to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, to be okay with the practice. It's a practice, not a perfect. Like Reverend Russell from Unity of Fairfax says, it's a practice, not a perfect. So to recognize the value of vulnerability and to begin to create spaces in our own lives for that little spark to grow, we can begin to bring that spark to the communities, and it grows within our communities and our spiritual communities and our groups and our interactions and our relationships. And so this kind of requires us to look at ourselves and others with this kind of expanded view. Just kind of looking at ourselves with an expanded view. Seeing the connection that's present and the value of creating spaces for that connection to thrive. And that's what we're here for. That's the excitement. That's the power of vulnerability. This is something that we can use not only in our own lives, but then kind of this outward-facing experience to cultivate that in our communities, because that's what we're here for, right? To cultivate those things within our communities and create safe and brave spaces for folks to show up. Let's pray. So what I know in this moment is there is one thing going on. It's that one thing that is back of everything. There's not a situation or circumstance or challenge or anything that we may experience in life where this presence is not found. And what's pretty cool about this is that we're connected to it. That it's not this thing that exists outside of us, this thing that we have to kind of put in the right formula to get the right answer, or we have to do the right thing or say the right thing or wear the right thing or be the right thing in order to be connected to it. But just by the very presence of our presence, we are connected to it. It lives in us, breathes through us, moves through us, and does its sometimes crazy dance as us. And so from this space of connection, this space of awareness, that we are it, and that we are connected to it in ways that we can see sometimes, and oh my goodness, in ways that we can't even imagine seeing. And so what I know in this moment through this connection is that there is within us this desire to be vulnerable and to be authentic and to live our lives out loud. There is this thing within us that bubbles up and says, man, let me out. I want to live out loud. And that thing that kind of spurs that bubbling is that thing that we're connected to. And so what I know is the more that we can cultivate this in our communities, the more that we can allow this thing to well up from us and to spread out over everything that we see. And that this is the power of community. This is the power of vulnerability. This is the power of showing up authentically to life. And for this, I am grateful. And we release this knowing that it is true, that the universe always says yes. Show me more, and I will give you more. And so it is. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to share a song that Reverend Chris recommended, and I've enjoyed working on it. It's called Joyful Man, A Joyful Man by Maestra, and it really supports Rev Ryan's wonderful message. Here we go. Your heartbeat pulses to the rhythm of freedom. Your smile presses on the soul of the world. Your voice an echo ever calling me to come and know myself in this place unexplored. You've been alive in darkened places. Teach me what grace is, and to trust in the soul I've become. Oh, the magic of you and your heart's many faces, teaching to me my own wisdom. You said, bring your intensity, bring your shame, bring all of yourself to me. I have the space. Bring Rudy in. Bring your love. Bring all yourself to me. You're already enough. I see her courage in your deep surrender, ever patient meeting me where I am. Taught me to scream from the place my soul hurts, planting my feet as I stand where I stand. Take my mind with gentle turning, telling me I'm worthy. Hand on my back as I speak what I need. On the magic of you, so wild and sturdy, showing the world what it means to be free. Bring your intensity, yeah, bring your shame, bring all of yourself to me. I have the space, bring beauty and bring your love, bring all of yourself to me. You're already enough, ooh, 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 ooh. Already enough, ooh, ooh, ooh. Already enough, already enough, already enough. Bring your intensity. Bring your intensity. I want you to bring all of yourself to me. I want you to bring all yourself to me. All of yourself to me. Bring me your sadness, your grief, and your pain. Bring me your anger, bring me your shame. I want all of you, I want every piece. Bring your intensity. I want you to bring all yourself to me. I want you to bring all yourself to me. I want you to bring all yourself to me. Bring your intensity. Yeah, bring your shame. Bring all of yourself to me. I have the space. Bring your beauty and bring your love. Bring all of yourself to me. You're already enough. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Already enough. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Already enough. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Already enough. Already enough. Already enough.
Those lyrics really spoke to me. Yeah, the whole service actually speaking to me today. This is a time in our service for our gifts and offerings. We are a tithing community and rely on the tithes and gifts from our congregation for so much, from the amazing programs we offer to these weekly services, and even to utilize the sacred space. And of course, know that your presence, as well as your love, time, and talent and treasure that you bring, is also a gift to our community. And we are so grateful for all of it. There are several ways you can give. If you're in person, drop your donation in the basket. If you are online, you can scan the QR code, visit celebrationcenter.org, and click on the Give button. You're also welcome to mail your gift in, and you can find our address at celebrationcenter.org. Okay. We have a closing song. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a closing song with Lynn and Jenn.
If you're able and you want to stand, or if nothing else, please sing with us. I Release and I Let Go by Ricky Byers. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I only for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I only for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life. and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the spirit run my life. And my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I am free in the spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Okay. Please repeat after me. Hold on. Let me go. I do need my glasses. Sorry, guys. I allow wonderful things to happen through me right now. I'm going to be my teacher. I have the courage to be vulnerable. The courage. Yes, much better. I show up authentically in every moment. I create brave and safe spaces for myself and others. I allow others to be fully themselves. I am worthy simply because I am. And so it is.